Well, had a productive day today. Did some more work on the Carnevil cabinet. Mounted a service and test switch and volume bracket that was with my Naomi parts. I took out, there was a bill validator hopper in that place. I took it out. Took the bracket that I had my Naomi spares that had two screw holes in it. One near the middle and one on the left hand side. I marked and drilled a new hole on the right hand side, so now they fit in the slots that the bill validator fit in. It has a coin meter on it, but I didn't bother connecting those wires. I'll be spoofing the coin meters. I'm telling Naomi it's got 2 coin meters, even though I'm not going to hook them up. It actually does have 2 coin meters because now it's got this one in the top and there's one in the lower coin door down in the bottom. That was part of the Carnevil cabinet. So technically I could hook the 2 coin meters up, but I've already got a spoof set up for it, so I'm not going to do that. What the spoof is there's 1 or 2 Naomi games that don't want to run unless they see 2 coin meters attached for some bizarre reason. So you take 5 volts from the I/O board, run it through a resistor, and then hook it to the wires that would go to the coin meter, and it thinks that you have a coin meter even when you don't, and those games will play. So I used as much of the existing wiring as I could from the Carnevil cab. I took the service switch wires off from there to run some of my wires to this. There's 3 wires that go for the switches. There's the service, the test, and the ground. And then there's 3 wires with the blue connector back there that go to the audio amp, and that is for the sound volume there. I also did some work on the lit start buttons. Have not arrived yet, but I ran some wires there and some more wires up in that hole. Basically, the way that the lit start buttons work on the Naomi is that they have constant voltage to the lamps, and then a ground signal is sent on a control line to make the connection to the voltage in the ground, which makes the light turn on. So to blink the light bulbs when you put a coin in, it attaches a ground on and off to make them blink. So what I'm going to have is 4 wires to each switch. This one you can see there's 2 wires. Those are the 2 that were originally in Carnevil. One is the ground for the switch and the other one is the other end of the switch. The lit ones will have 2 more tabs, one for power and one to control ground. So up here I have a couple wires ready to go. One will be the ground to the 2 switches, and the other one will be the voltage to the 2 switches. And then down in here, one will be the control the lights to blink by grounding it, and the other one will be the indicator that you press the start button. So same thing on both sides. Then we come down to the fun I had today. A lot of fun down here wiring. These are the connectors that came out of the Carnevil originally. My wiring setup is a combination of Molex and the Japanese connector types. So I basically take the connectors that came with the Carnevil and figure out what the wires are, chop the wires off, and put the correct type of wiring harness in there. So what I ended up doing today, this is just a big bunch of grounds for the cabinet, no big deal. This is one of the guns, or rather these 2 are the guns, and this is the audio. There's 7 pins to the audio. This is the audio amp, 7 pins, 3 of them go to the volume control, and then 2 for the left speaker, 2 for the right speaker. So those are wired up. Also wired up input, so the power supply that's in this plastic tub right now, power supply will supply power to the audio amp. So the audio should be good to go. What I have left, I just toned out a bunch of wires because it's been so long since I messed with my House of the Dead wiring harness, I couldn't remember what the connectors were. So, this 12-pin connector has the coin meter spoof on it. So there's a voltage coming out for 5 volts that connects it to the 2 coin meter inputs. I then toned out the I/O board that hooks up to this, and it has coin 1, coin 2, 5 volts that goes to the coin meters, the 2 coin meters, 2 grounds, another 5 volts available, test and service. So with these remaining wires here from the Carnevil, I've already got them hooked up to all those appropriate switches. I just need to double check by colors and toning things out to figure out which ones I need to connect to this loom, which is the coin door loom. And then I've got this to emulate, which is what I was using to test, just a couple trivia whiz lit buttons that terminate in a 6-pin connector. So I have all the wires also down here in this mess to wire up to a 6-pin connector just like this. Basically, it'll be making a duplicate of this with the buttons and everything inside the cab, and I'll just be making this end of it. So once the lit buttons get there, I'll put the lit buttons in the top and run the 2 wires that are here. One is a ground for the switches, as I said, which I need to run to one switch and then daisy chain it to the other switch. And one is voltage to the lights, which is constant. Run it to one of the lamps, and then run it over there, daisy chain it to the other lamp. And then that'll be it with the top of the control panel. I can put it all back up together. Coin door is pretty much done. I've got everything wired up that comes out of the bottom. So most of my things I have to do are now here at the bottom of the cabinet. Here is the rest of the Naomi harness that I made for House of the Dead or any Naomi gun game. So this part here goes to the Sega I/O board. It goes to the gun board and the sensors that go around the monitor, and then it has a plug that plugs into another piece of it right here, and that goes to different attachment points, and this is the power. So power I have to figure out because I'm using a different power supply, and then wiring up the coin door and the lit start buttons there, and then waiting for some parts, and then I'll be almost ready to test it. So it's amazing how much time this stuff takes. You don't think about it. You're just taking some wires. It's already wired. How hard could it be to change the wires around and make them fit a different situation? It does take quite a bit of time to do it. So spent a fair amount of time today on it, but I can see the end in sight of the pedestal. After I get everything wired up, I still have to figure out how to attach a TV and where the Naomi power supply and sound amp are going to live, because the power supply is bigger than that sound amp, and the Naomi is bigger than the both of those. And I don't really want to make an attachment coming off of this cabinet that goes too far forward, because the monitor has to come up at some point, although I guess I could make the box come off of that, and then the monitor doesn't have to be at the end of the chain. It can come up in the middle, and the sound amp can go like in between the posts that the monitor's going to be mounted on. But anyway, I haven't got to that stage yet. I am just probably one more day and I'll have the pedestal wiring done. And like I said, then I can turn it on and test it. I won't test the actual light guns, I don't think, to begin with. I'll just hook the Naomi up to... oh, that's another good point. I have a metal cage Naomi and a plastic case Naomi. My plastic case is all set up for my Blast City cabinet, and so if I wanted to test using that, I'd have to tear that apart. So my metal cage Naomi, I can't plug a cartridge into because the cartridges don't fit on the metal cage Naomis. You have to have the bare circuit board from the cartridge, so I have to tear a cartridge apart. Anyway, testing it is going to be, in other words, another issue. I do have some Naomi plastic cases on the way. I thought I had another plastic case Naomi in my parts, but I don't. I ordered on eBay 5 broken Naomis from China. They all have the plastic cases. They all look filthy. They were not that much more expensive than US sellers who were selling 1 broken Naomi. And I got 5. So I'm hoping that maybe wherever these were located at when they went bad, they didn't bother to test them or troubleshoot, just marked them bad, and they're getting rid of them. So if I'm really lucky, maybe out of the 5, maybe I can get a couple working, sell those as working Naomis on eBay, and end up making my money back for the purchase, when really all I wanted was a plastic case. I was too impatient to see if I could find one pop up on eBay cheaper if I waited. So we'll see what happens when those get in. But yeah. Oh, I also ordered these triangular plates. As I think I said last time, the Naomi uses those square plates at the end of the gun harness, and I think they attach inside the cabinet, so only the hose comes out. Whereas these cabinets, there's obviously a hole on the side of the cab, so I ordered a couple of the triangular mounts, and with luck, I'll just be able to put the triangular mount over here and tighten it back down with the original bolt. If I have to, maybe I might be able to sandwich this metal plate behind the triangular plate if the triangular plate's too thin and things don't work out right. Use that as a big washer. We'll see. But those parts are on the way as well, so yeah, I won't be able to really test the... Well, I can test one gun, because one gun I've left the connector on the end just in case, so... But we'll see. Again, I've got several things on order still to go. Yeah, that's it. Didn't want to make this video too long, but of course I continue to blab. So yeah, that's where we're at. More work on the pedestal, but the pedestal is almost done. Waiting on some parts.